Subtle stress signs is the next thing. Okay, I'm saying all these things in a certain order on purpose because I'm trying to just build up the house, if you will. Okay, so subtle stress signs is like a second story of your house. Now, there's loud kind of stress signs. There's subtle ones. Does anyone have any inkling of what some loud stress signs may be? Just say it out loud.
So just like walking around, barking at like anything and everything, just to like.
Sure. Could be barking. Yep. Any other guesses?
Heavily panting.
That would be more of a subtle stress sign. I would personally categorize it, but that's a good guess. So we'll set that one to the other side of that column for now. Anyone else?
So kind of like looking around, like constantly trying to like.
It's pretty subtle. Good guess. I'll just tell you guys. So more of what I would categorize as like loud stress signs is like growling, hackles are up, showing teeth. You know, everyone knows those. They're like, oh, something's wrong, barking. Okay. But subtle stress signs are more of those quieter indicators that you guys mentioned, right? Panting. Everything's context-based though, okay? So be mindful. You know, if the dog just ran 10 laps and it's panting, you're like, well, yeah, that lines up. It's hot. Or if the dog's drooling a lot and you've got some snacks that you're passing around, like, yeah, that makes sense. But if there's no food around and the dog's excessively drooling and it's in a crate and you're like, oh, it's a new dog. Has it ever been crated before? Well, maybe not. I don't know. But like that's probably more of a subtle stress sign. Do you guys have any other guesses of other subtle stress signs?
Stress yawning.
Yawning, yep.
Shedding.
That can be one for sure.
Hiding in the corner.
Yeah, so avoidance, sure, yep. And pacing, yep, for sure. Those are all really good ones. Any other ones that you can think of?
Like licking the nose.
Yeah, like a tongue flick. Yeah, so depends on the dog. Sometimes it can be like just a little, or sometimes it can come out a lot more. But just be mindful with that because once again, it's context. I've known dogs that are getting like affection and they're like leaning into you and backing it up and their tongue's going in and out. So it's not a stress sign in that context. But then I've also seen another dog being like super rigid, right? Any other guesses? I just said one.
Rigid body.
Yeah. Rigidity. Why does this dog look so stiff? Well, if it's stiff physically, it's probably mentally rigid as well. And when you're mentally rigid, you're probably not that fun to be around. So that's a really good indicator. Any more?
Ears back.
Pardon?
Ears back.
It can be, for sure. It's all relative, like I said. But yeah, for sure that can be an indicator. No more?
Glazed eyes. The way their
Like
eyes look.
pupils dilated? Or like, do you mean like they're reddish or both?
Like glazed, honestly.
Like they look like they're stoned?
Kind of, I guess. Not really. I don't know how to explain it.
Dilated pupils? Like,
My pup, when she gets really stressed, her eyes look almost like watery and like glassy.
okay. Yeah, so glossy and glassy, that sounds good, yeah. Dilated pupils is one too. Any others? There's a couple left. I can just tell you them too. I was just trying to make it interactive so I wasn't boring. Like, meh, meh, meh. Okay, so there is, trying to cross-reference what you guys said versus what's left. One of them is evading. It's kind of along the lines of the avoidance that you mentioned. But more specifically, it isn't necessarily. Think of like kids playing with dogs. And this can happen in your facility for sure. Is like, but with dogs, not a kid. But pretend you're at a family function and there's a dog in there and there's 3 5-year-olds chasing the dog and they're running after it and everyone's having fun. It's super playful. But the dog's body language is like, and he's rigid and kind of trotting and the tail might be like not high and soft and wavy, maybe mid-level or low, but stiff, and they're just kind of trotting. I'm like, that's a recipe for nothing good. And I'd be personally interrupting the children, be like, hey guys, why don't you go, let's do something. Let's go play basketball. That dog is trying to evade. But the same thing can happen in a play group with other dogs, where dog A is trying to flee all them because it's spooked, but it would be faster because dogs are faster, kids are slow, like in comparison. that it might all be happening a lot faster, but dog A looks like it's prey, and dog B, C, D, E, F are all chasing it. And then when it gets caught, it's going to be like, eh. So I might advocate as soon as I start to see them putting the chase on that dog and it turning into like a prey predator scenario, depending on how well I know the group. Like if you know it's going to fizzle down and they know how to self-regulate, then it's fine. But lots of times when you have younger dogs, they don't self-regulate well, and you have to essentially referee. There's the whale eye, moon eye, side eye, same eye. It's the same, all mean the same thing, but it's where like the dog is rigid and they're staring at the stimulus, whether it's a kid or a cat or a dog, and you can see the whites of the opposing side. That's the worst. That one's going to escalate typically within 1 to 3 seconds. So if you see that, it's like, hey, whistle, whatever. And so just so everyone's like, huh? And stop so you can try to intervene. So if I ever see that at private sessions, which I have, like I'm not hesitating at all to see where it goes. Because you have to know, well, I'm going to try to help you understand if you don't know, is that when you see whale eye, if the entity, the stimulus with the dog that's giving the whale eye does anything, it's going to escalate. The only way it's not going to escalate is if they stay still and the dog giving the whale eye walks away. So I'm like, oh, this dog is like young and it's all flirty and goofy and oblivious that this dog is like, you better stop or you're going to get hurt. So I'm like, as soon as I see it, I'm yelling and I'm trying to get in between like a wedge and referee them, like blowing the whistle when two guys are going to get spicy. Because the young dog doesn't know your only job is to stay still until they stop giving you those eyes and walk away from you. If you walk away, that dog will attack you. If you move towards, that dog will attack you. So, and just as a heads up, if you ever get confronted with an intense dog, probably outside of these walls, not in them, stay still if they're giving you whale eye. Because they will wait till they walk away. Because I've entered thousands of homes where dogs are like, hey, I'll bite you if you don't come in here. And I'm like, copy that, but I'm not leaving. And I wait, I have my bag in between us. I'm like, if you're gonna bite something, it's gonna be in my bag, so fair enough. And then they walk away and then I can go in. Because sometimes, why are you